This particular cloak in front of you is from the southwest of Victoria, from the mob, the fighting Gunditjmara.
Lake Condah is situated about 350 kilometres southwest of Melbourne, and it's right in the southwest corner of Victoria, so right on the border of South Australia just about. So where we're situated, we get very, very cold and strong southwest winds pretty regularly.
We get 4 seasons in one day here. We have a pretty long winter, a long wet season. It's pretty cold.
And that was, quite possibly one of the reasons why we used possum skin cloaks so much back in the day. So Gunditjmara country is very, very vast, and so many different sort of land types and landforms within the Gunditjmara country.
So we've got the stony rises that the mob call Gunditjmara. We've got the sea country, we've got the forest country at the Cloak Forest National Park, and the river country along the Glenelg River. And I think, there's really diverse designs on the cloak that speak to these different parts of the country where these men come from.
And we also got river country. We're bordered by rivers. So you got the Glenelg River over to the west near Nelson. Up to the north we got the Wannon River, and over near Warrnambool we got the Hopkins River. So all within there, there's Gunditjmara country.
The possum skin cloaks are really important. Their use is obviously to keep us warm, both during the day and at night. Maybe within the stone hut that you've made, you'll have a kangaroo cloak on the floor, or maybe one that's made of punya, and then you'd have your possum skin cloak to toss over you at night time.
And they were everyday items. We slept in them, carried our babies. Women drummed when the men were dancing. Even some mobs, including us, were buried in our cloaks. So that's why there's not a lot around, and plus they're organic, so they don't last forever.
You're given just a single possum skin as you were born, and as you grow up you add possum skins as you go on in your journey in life.
And then they have to, extend on that cloak and catch more possums and create a story that they have to tell through their cloak.
With designs describing what you have been through, and when you pass on, you're buried with that possum skin cloak with the designs sort of facing, so your story can get told after death.
The fibres are hollow in possum fur, so they keep you warmer and drier, and they don't freeze. So that is the significant difference why possum fur and cloaks are so significant. Doesn't mean you didn't have a kangaroo skin cloak or rug or another wallaby skin or something, but that's the difference in the significance of the cloaks.
So the skin side would keep you cool during the summer, and the fur side would keep you warm in the winter. So these possum skin cloaks were made with different skins of possums, all stitched together.
Obviously they went out and hunted the possum. They tracked him back to the trees up the big manna gums here.
Capturing the possums, hitting them over the head, smoking them out the holes.
Traditionally we use kangaroo sinew as the thread.
So the tendon off the back of the hind leg of the kangaroo.
Skinning them, then they had to be stretched and scraped. I believe our women had a bag made of possum fur with all the wooden nails that you would peg out the skin.
And stitched with either a bone of the kangaroo leg or the echidna quills.
And they'd rub kangaroo fat on them and ochre and that to stain different parts of the cloak for different meanings.
Once you got it all together, we use a piece of flint or something to cut in some designs.
If you think about how many skins are in possum cloaks, 50 plus, then that's a lot of possums. So they're very, very special and significant and of high value in our pre-European economy. And even at contact period, it would cost you 2 stone axes to acquire a possum cloak.
Some designs were burnt onto the cloak or etched in and then covered with ochre as well.
Usually like the red ochre that's found on the cloak that come from here is usually found up along the Wannon River, and one of the men come from up on the Wannon as well.
The one with the red ochre design that I use a lot in contemporary works, and sometimes I use it to represent journeying on pathways because it's got that kind of design look. Some of the other designs I'm learning about and looking at it as an aerial map and seeing which parts of country that it might be or belong to.
There are a few designs I suppose, just make out. I got told to sort of read them like how you'd read a topographical map. So I've learned to read a few of the waterhole sort of designs on a couple of contemporary cloaks. But I can make out the rocky country and rivers and channels.
There are different spots within the landscape that do pop out when you see the cloak designs. In particular, the lava flow that we have here on Gunditjmara landscape. There's different circular designs in it as well that remind me of the stone hut sites and villages that we can find through the lava flow.
I can't really tell what they mean to me. I can just sort of, just vision where I am when I look at them.
So one of the designs on the cloak that stands out to me is the one that's, it reminds me of the shape of the Condah Swamp. And Condah Swamp's the catchment that feeds in the Lake Condah and then feeds through the stony rises, through the lava flow from Gunditjmara, through cracks and fissures in the lava flow, and then starts and feeds in the springs that comes out of the rock walls here at the mission actually, which is the start of the creek for Darlot's Creek, which the mob call Kalara, which means always there because it's a spring-fed creek. And it's one of the best water streams that we have here in the southwest of the Fitzroy and Surrey. The other rivers, they'll stop flowing and their catchments aren't as big as Condah Swamp. So it's a really important place, and it was the sustenance for nearly 10 clans of Gunditjmara that lived along the lava flow and along that waterway. So it's a really important place, and it's a really important place still today because our mob have always had association with that waterway. Given the Umarella Wars that our mob took up the battle against the colonisers, they used the lava flow where that waterway is, and then the mission was put here as well. So the mob have always had our association here with this waterway, and it's all fed from Condah Swamp. It's a very spiritual and connected waterway. It means a lot.
The designs on this one speaks to me of Gunditjmara people being placed on land that's not their country. It also speaks of the people that belong to the land itself. It tells the story of the gathering of those people being brought onto one place. It speaks about the Umarella War and the survival of that war and being brought to a place where they had to learn a totally different way of life.
When I think about the cloak and the designs on it, I certainly can see different parts of the country in it. Out at the lake we've got traditional eel traps there that are all about ponding the eels in the sinkholes, and there's one system that has about 5 ponds that all connect. I reckon there's certainly some symbols in there that remind me of some of those places.
I do see it being almost like a map to the landscape that we have down Gunditjmara country, because you start to get used to how the country looks now. You can imagine just how clearer the vision would have been back then.
It feels comforting. It feels as though you're surrounded with love.
Strengthening and empowering and feeling close, like you can just reach out and touch the ancestors, It
really emphasises community for me. And like our mob, different tribes, different clans are all forced onto this place, but you got a group of men that sat down and they've put their country and their community on this one piece, and it's from here, and our bloodlines are connected directly to it.
Whenever you really have anything to do with culture that's still around from 100 years ago, you feel a sense of pride, you feel a sense of belonging to and connection. And that's something that I think Gunditjmara people are pretty big on, connection to country, connection to spirituality, and I think that comes out when you get things like the cloak.
Because it's part of our culture, and our ceremony, our song and dance, all that stuff, and the designs on it there speak to our own identity in a sense. So a lot of Gunditjmara are very proud to have access to those designs and have them as part of our collective as Gunditjmara people.